Later, the teacher begins his class on the importance of adapting to this new society, the regulations and guidelines for the use of mana. But Yu Il-hun is bored and thinks that having a degree is not as important as being able to use mana. He is interrupted by Eartha, who tells him that the most efficient way to train mana is by hunting monsters. However, Yu Il-hun doesn't want to do anything dangerous, but Eartha explains that they are still in the initial phase of the Great Cataclysm, and some monsters are weak, and he needs to hunt many weak monsters to increase his experience and level to train his mana. But Yu Il-hun explains that he is only level 1 and can't even use mana like others. Eartha tells him that he has a very good physique, even capable of easily defeating level 25 monsters. He is surprised, and she tells him they can test it right now. At that moment, all the classmates are looking out the window at some giant insects outside the school. Eartha tells the protagonist that the tutorial is over and that humanity now has to defend itself. Most people are thinking about what to do, where to go, where the military is to protect them, but in the classroom, all the students are only thinking about running away. Minutes later, everyone runs away scared and leaves the protagonist alone. Eartha tells him to take action, that it's time and he can fight them. So he decides to make several weapons with the desks in the classroom to defeat the monsters. Eartha congratulates him and asks him how he made several weapons so quickly. He responds that he had enough time to learn crafting and many other things. Eartha remembers what Lita said, that Yu Il-hun was alone and didn't know how to do anything. Once he had the weapons ready, he regretted not bringing his lance. The protagonist tells Eartha that he wants to hide his identity from other people, so he decides to wear a mask. Giant insects appear destroying the city, and then Yu Il-hun appears from the heights wearing only his mask and weapons, and starts attacking with a swift kick from the sky, hitting the insects. One by one, he destroys them, and with each insect destroyed, his experience levels increase. He receives notifications that his skills are evolving, and he realizes that this is the way to quickly level up. He also discovers that by claiming the life of each opponent, he can gain more strength and increase his power. His mana level also increases during the fight. During the battle, Yu Il-hun is surrounded by a group of giant insects, but he takes advantage of the moment and restarts the fight, attacking with lightning-fast punches and kicks, quickly annihilating all the insects. Eartha guides and advises him on how to attack, making him even more effective. With each movement, he becomes more lethal, gaining experience and leveling up rapidly. Eartha advises him to always be active, and more giant insects continue to appear. But Yu Il-hun is not afraid and becomes even more confident in his abilities. He moves at great speed, cutting through the monsters and destroying each one in his path. During the fight, a giant mosquito hits him with its stinger, but Yu Il-hun remains unharmed, and the mosquito's stinger shatters when it hits him. Eartha realizes that the protagonist's skin is tough due to the extreme training he did during all those years, allowing him to surpass the limits of a human. Yu Il-hun makes a precise strike and annihilates the mosquito. Despite having destroyed several monsters, more reinforcements keep coming, and Eartha warns him to be careful. Yu Il-hun finds himself surrounded by a large group of insect-like monsters, but with great confidence he takes his weapons and exclaims, "It's time to exterminate bugs." With agile movements and the use of his homemade weapons, he explodes the bugs, gaining experience, endurance, strength, and mana. Later, Yu Il-hun is surprised by cosmic rays that destroy other insects. When he turns around, he sees a young woman with long hair and a gem on her forehead. She emits these rays with just one hand, and Yu Il-hun wonders who this unknown woman is and thinks she may be a mage. However, Eartha interrupts him and tells him not to lose concentration and to continue killing the monsters. They destroy the insects between the unknown woman and Yu Il-hun, and Eartha tells him that the unknown woman has a huge mana level since she can generate lightning attacks very quickly. Finally, Yu Il-hun annihilates the last monster, which gives him a high level of experience. After the epic battle, people slowly begin to come out of hiding, and they are amazed and happy. Yu Il-hun is a little exhausted. A few minutes later, the military arrives and explains that they could not arrive earlier because their vehicle had crashed. They are surprised to find all the monsters dead. Eartha guides the protagonist to examine the insides of one of the insect-type monster corpses to find a mana stone, which can be used as basic material for better artifacts. When Yu Il-hun breaks the toughest part of the exoskeleton, he reaches the maximum level of slaughter. The military is amazed at Yu Il-hun, wondering who he is, what his level is, and how he is so strong. People approach Yu Il-hun and take pictures, and he feels a bit embarrassed because he is not used to people interacting with him. However, no one will recognize him because he still wears his mask. The unknown woman approaches him and asks if he can help with the killing. And so, Yu Il-hun met the Empress for the first time. The Empress asks Yu Ilhan to please butcher the monsters for her, and if he could do it for her, since she saw him do it before. He asks how much she will give him, remembering that when monsters are butchered, they can obtain mana stones. She offers him 30% and then corrects herself and offers 40%. Yu Ilhan happily accepts the deal and begins to gut the monsters. As he does so, he overhears people in the crowd talking about what happened. Some say that the Empress is impressive as she can control the use of mana, and others tell stories like if you get too close to her, you can get struck by lightning. Yu Ilhan continues to think while hearing people talk about him, saying things like apparently he shoots lightning. And Yu Ilhan thinks that he does not do that, it was just the Empress. Others say that he killed monsters with his laser sabers, but Yu Ilhan knows they are just javelins, and he would actually like to have something like that. Some say they saw him using an axe, but the protagonist thinks to himself that it's just javelins and he has them in his hand. After he finishes, Eartha tells him that his stealth ability is great and he can do whatever he wants with the mask, and no one will remember him. He suddenly feels sad and says that he wishes people would at least notice he is there.